your cats. Dawn of the Clans. Thunder Rising. Chapter 5. Thunder exploded from the trees, hard on Shattered Ice's paws, and raced up the slope, his paws pounding over the wiry moorland grass. He could still hear the dogs barking, but he couldn't see anything until he reached the ridge. Pausing to catch his breath, Thunder looked down the hill. Now he could see the dogs in the distance, and hear their yelping and growling more clearly. Beyond them, he spotted the small figure of a cat, hobbling and totally exposed as he tried to reach the camp. He kept glancing back over his shoulder as the dog's powerful legs ate up the distance between them. "That's Jagged Peak," Thunder exclaimed, pointing with his tail. "What's he doing out here?" "Never mind that, come on." Shattered Ice mewed. "We have to head off the dogs before they catch him." Together the two cats rushed into the valley, but before they reached the dogs, another cat appeared from the direction of the hollow. He was much closer to Jagged Peak, racing toward him, with his belly fur brushing the grass and his tail streaming out behind him. "Greywing!" Thunder gasped. "Oh no, what's he doing?" Greywing dashed straight past Jagged Peak, who halted to stare at him. Greywing yelled something at him and hurled himself at the nearest dog, a leggy, brindled animal with a lolling tongue. Reaching out a paw, Greywing swiped his claws across the dog's nose, then instantly doubled back and darted away. Faintly, Thunder heard him snarl, "Take that, flea pelt." The brindled dog let out a howl of pain, and fury began to chase Greywing. The second dog, a small white creature, gave chase too, leaving Jagged Peak free to struggle on unharmed. Shattered Ice reached the valley bottom and veered to one side to come up beside Greywing, but Greywing waved him off with a lash of his tail. "Help, Jagged Peak," he yelled, and pelted on with the dogs panting close behind him. The air reeked of dog scent. Thunder was close enough to see their gleaming eyes and the spittle flying from their open jaws. He shuddered at the thought of those murderous fangs sinking into Greywing. Hurtling along behind Shattered Ice, Thunder saw Greywing heading for a copse of wind-blown trees on the ridge. The dogs were snapping at his paws as he reached it and scrambled up the nearest tree. Crouching on a low-lying branch, Greywing looked down at the dogs, who were yelping and throwing themselves at the tree trunk. "Flea pelts," he spat. "Useless mange faces. Go away and leave us alone." Thunder and Shattered Ice caught up with Jagged Peak, flanking him on either side. Shattered Ice let the injured cat lean on his shoulder. "What are you doing out here, you stupid furball?" he asked. "I can go where I like," Jagged Peak gasped. Shattered Ice just snorted in reply. Jagged Peak's neck fur was bristling, but Thunder could see that he was too exhausted to argue anymore. "Not far now," Thunder meowed encouragingly. "When we get to camp, we can hide in the dens." But to his horror, Thunder heard the yelping and whining of the dogs turn to full-throated barking. Glancing back, he saw that they had abandoned Greywing in his tree and were heading back in their direction. "They're coming," he gasped. Jagged Peak bared his teeth. "Get out of here," he snarled. "I can take care of this." Thunder couldn't believe what he was saying. "We wouldn't ever leave," he began to meow. Before he had even finished speaking, Shattered Ice put on a burst of speed, abandoning his place beside Jagged Peak. In moments, he vanished over the next hill. Thunder stared after him disbelievingly. "I never thought Shattered Ice was a coward." "I'm not going," he growled at Jagged Peak. "We'll do this together, so get over it." The dogs were drawing closer, eating up the distance with enormous bounds. Thunder realized that he wouldn't be able to get Jagged Peak back to the camp before the dogs caught up with them. Glancing desperately around, he spotted a narrow hole between two rocks that jutted out of the moorland soil. Thunder threw all his weight against Jagged Peak, thrusting him across the grass and down the hole, then turned around and crammed himself in tail first. He had managed to push the two of them a tail length from the opening when the dogs loped up, whining in excitement. Most of the light from the hole was cut off as the big brindle dog shoved his snout inside. Thunder met its maniacal gaze. He could hear its excited panting and feel its hot, sour breath washing over him. It stuck a paw inside the hole. Thunder shrank back, barely able to stay out of reach of the thrusting claws. "If it gets in here, we're done," he thought. Behind him, he could hear a continual muttering from Jagged Peak. "Who do you think I am? A rabbit? Stupid mange-ridden dogs. We should have stayed to fight. I could rip the throat out of one of them. No trouble." Thunder flicked his ears. Despite Jagged Peak's words, he was happy to be safe in the tunnel. Thunder had never been down one of the rabbit burrows before. Even discounting his fear of the dogs, he didn't like it at all. It was so different from the wide, comfortable tunnel mouth where he slept with Hawk Swoop and her kids. His fur itched with the dirt, and the damp walls seemed to press in on him from all directions. The dog's panting echoed loudly, and he could hear it start to scrape at the earth around the hole. "Please get me out of this," he muttered, then wondered who he was talking to. "I'm so scared I've got bees in my brain." Sliding out his claws, Thunder braced himself to attack the dog if he had to. More muffled sounds penetrated from outside, and he recognized the voices of Two Legs. The ground quivered with the stomping of their huge paws. There were angry noises. Then Thunder glimpsed Two Leg reach out and drag the dog away. The creature gave a howl of protest, but a heartbeat later, light flooded into the burrow again as the dog's nose was withdrawn. Thunder heard more Two-Leg voices and another flurry of barking. They seemed to be growing more distant. The ground stopped shaking. Are they really leaving? He couldn't see any dogs or Two-Legs through the narrow mouth of the tunnel, but he wondered whether they might be crouching outside, waiting for the cats to emerge. "What's going on?" Jagged Peak asked. "I'm not sure." Thunder felt too scared to poke his head out of the hole. His heartbeat was so fast and strong, it felt as if his chest was going to burst. Clear Sky said I was too young to look after myself. Maybe I am. A spark of confidence began to flicker inside of him. "But I saved Jagged Peak, didn't I?" "Do you think the dogs are definitely gone?" he asked the injured cat. Jagged Peak let out an exasperated sound. Thunder looked around to see his haunches pressed against the side of the tunnel, his pelt clogged with soil. "How would I know?" Jagged Peak asked in a muffled voice. "I'm facing down the tunnel, Mouse Brain. I can't see a thing." He paused and added, "We should probably wait a while, just in case." Two cats crouched motionlessly in the burrow. Thunder strained his ears to make out what was happening outside. "Thanks," Jagged Peak mewed at last, "for staying to help me." Hot embarrassment flooded through Thunder, from ears to tail tip. It felt wrong that Jagged Peak had to thank him. He'd only done what he would have done for any cat, except they both knew that most cats in the camp weren't permanently injured. Most cats would have been able to run away. "That's okay," he mumbled. "I'm sure Graywing would have led the dogs away again." "I'm sure he would have tried," Jagged Peak meowed. A couple of heartbeats later, he went on reluctantly. "One thing I've learned since I was a kid is that not even Graywing can fix everything." Thunder squirmed uncomfortably. As if Jagged Peak's words had summoned him, Graywing's head appeared at the mouth of the tunnel. He looked thoroughly shaken. "It's okay to come out," he meowed. "The dogs have gone." "And what in the world were you thinking?" he added angrily to Thunder. "Going off like that without permission. I ought to claw your ears." Thunder's belly clenched. "Sorry," he muttered as he scrambled out of the burrow at once, relieved to shake the dirt out of his pelt. 3 trickles of soil fell from the roof as he emerged. "Where's Shattered Ice?" Graywing asked. He ran back to the camp," Thunder replied. Graywing's eyes clouded. "Without you and Jagged Peak?" he asked incredulously. "I told the others to go away and save their own lives," Jagged Peak called out angrily from his place in the tunnel. "At least Shattered Ice listened to me." Graywing let out a sigh. "I never thought he—" A loud yowl interrupted him. Thunder looked up to see a long line of cats appearing at the top of the hill and sweeping down the slope toward them. Shattered Ice was in the lead. Thunder recognized Dapplepelt, Jackdaw's Cry, and Rainflower. To his surprise, Wind and Gorse were with them too. "It's Shattered Ice," he called to Jagged Peak in the tunnel. "He's not a coward after all. He went for help." "Jagged Peak, you can come out now," Graywing added. Scuffling sounds came from the tunnel. "It's not easy to try to back out of one of these little rabbit dens," Jagged Peak grumbled. "Especially with a bad leg. Coughing drowned out whatever he was trying to say. "What's the matter?" "Nothing." Jagged Peak's voice sounded muffled. "I just got a mouthful of dirt. It's getting sort of dusty in here," he added nervously. There were grunts and noises of discomfort as Jagged Peak wiggled his way to the entrance. Thunder wondered whether it might have been a bad idea to shove him in quite so roughly. But what choice did I have? There was a small yowl of displeasure, and then a noise that made Thunder much more worried. A creaking, groaning sound that came from the ground itself. Graywing darted a glance to where Thunder had gone to sit on the bank above the hole. "Get away from there, quick!" he ordered. Thunder leaped off. He crouched to look into the hole. More earth was dribbling down from the roof of the tunnel. Jagged Peak, hurry, he mewed. Come on, come on, Growing added, glancing anxiously at the bank. Thunder couldn't believe it. The packed earth was sinking into a hollow before their eyes. The tunnel was... A soft thump sounded. A cloud of dust billowed out into the open as the mouth of the burrow suddenly collapsed. Jagged Peak was buried alive.